Adesanya is a minus 600 to Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland is a plus 400 at DraftKings right now. Now, to put that in perspective for you, Israel Adesanya has never been a bigger favorite in his career within mixed martial arts and anywhere that I could publicly find within kickboxing. Can you believe that? Why is that? And let's run through it real fast. Let's run through what you're saying. Do you believe that Sean Strickland is a harder fight for Israel Adesanya than Paulo Costa? Not according to your money, you don't. Do you believe that Sean Strickland is a harder fight for Israel Adesanya than Sean's best friend, or one of them, and training partner Marvin Vettori, who had two different opportunities with Sean in his corner? Not according to your money, you don't. Do you believe that Sean Strickland is a harder fight for Israel Adesanya than Brad Tavares, who was dead even money, by the way, slightly favoring Adesanya? Do you believe Anderson Silva himself was in striking distance? The only time they ever got Adesanya wrong, by the way, is when Adesanya moved up to light heavyweight. Adesanya was a 2.5 favorite over at DraftKings to beat Jan Blachowicz. There was even a make-believe line of Adesanya versus Jon Jones. Jon was the favorite, but it was tight. Adesanya has never been favored this greatly in his career. Why do you think that is? Is it Sean Strickland? It's the first time they've gone out of the top 5 for a title shot. Then again, we were so locked in the idea of having somebody from the top 5 that we gave Izzy rematches after rematches and started getting bored to the point that he had to start campaigning for guys, including Sean Strickland. Is it a style matchup? Is it that they have a common opponent? People love to say MMA math doesn't work. MMA math works all the time. In fact, it is the single greatest trajectory that we have in this sport, is a common opponent. And you have Alex Pereira, and is that what is getting Sean dismissed? Because I dismissed the Alex Pereira versus Sean fight. I do. None of us knew how good Alex was. We just simply didn't know. We didn't know to the point that Sean Strickland went out there and kickboxed with Alex Pereira. I mean, not for nothing, right? There's an expression, you win or you learn. First time I ever heard it was Conor McGregor. Now I know a number of people say, I've seen it on t-shirts, I've seen it on hashtags, I've seen it on Twitter. I'm fine with the whole thing, but you win or you learn. This is an expression. And people love to hang their hat on that. But if that expression is true, then the Alex experience, as painful in the moment as that was for Sean Strickland, is going to turn out to be a wonderful benefit. Sean Strickland didn't know somebody could punch him in the face to start with. He didn't know somebody could punch him in the face and put him down to follow up. He didn't know somebody could punch him in the face, put him down, and he couldn't get up. Like, that has never happened to him. They actually came out with a stat. Sean Strickland was getting ready to fight Jack Hermanson. And the commentary team came out and said that for striking defense, Sean was number 1 in the division. And then they broke down how they came to that. How many punches has Sean had thrown at him versus how many he got out of the way of in conjunction with everybody else. He was the hardest to hit guy, based on that litmus test, in the entire middleweight division. So when I just tell you that you win or you learn, in hindsight, that's going to have been a very helpful moment, as painful as it was in the moment, for Sean Strickland as he gets ready to go into Izzy. Now, what does he do with that, by the way? Like, what does Sean go out and do with that? Does he keep his hands up more? Does he keep his chin down more? Does he try to close distance? Does he try to get his hands on it? I don't believe that I'm the only one that's identified this. I believe the folks over at DraftKings have identified it, and they're telling me, Chael, you're wrong on all of those accords. They got a common opponent. It ended like this. This guy beat Sean, and Izzy beat this guy 6-1. I also believe that Adesanya gets a bump for knowing how well historically he's fought in Australia. I mean, when he went out and touched up Robert Whittaker, he not only beat Whittaker that night, he beat him twice. If you guys saw that fight and you remember it, he beat Whittaker twice. Talk about saved by the bell. I'm only sharing with you, and Whittaker's as good as they come. There's 57,000 people there live. Adesanya danced on his way to the ring with some childhood buddies in a routine that they had practiced one time the night before. I mean, right, like this was a unique individual who had part of his mind on the dance routine, part of his mind on enjoying the moment, which nobody had ever experienced. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. No other fighter, aside from Robert Whittaker, has ever got to walk out in front of 57,000 screaming fans. Interim championship, he's defending. Undisputed championship on the line. Oh, by the way, arch nemesis Paulo Costa sitting in the front row. I mean, Izzy was a little distracted and still went and turned in that performance. Another time in Australia, actually previous to this, he's got to go and fight his at one time childhood icon. First time I ever heard about Israel Adesanya, I was getting ready to fight Anderson Silva the second time, and there's this skinny kid from New Zealand giving me the business on Twitter. That skinny kid was a teenager, and his name was Israel Adesanya. He had to fight Anderson Silva. And I bring that to you because that was a very telling moment. What you can do versus what you're willing to do versus what your job is to go and do. Right? There was a lot on it. And I do believe the folks at DraftKings are acknowledging that Adesanya fights really well at home. I think the one thing that people are missing with Sean Strickland, and this is just if you go back and you look at his body of work. I know that he lost the decision in the Cannonier fight. I thought he won the fight. I'm not here to argue that because I don't want to disrespect Jared. It was a very close fight. But I also think that it was close enough that we can just move it right off of the table. So now we're looking at two matches, one against Pereira, where he took a hand that none of you could have taken, that he didn't know Pereira possessed. And the other was a pretty good hustle against Kamaru Usman at a totally different weight class. I mean, like, this is a hammer you're talking about. Why I tell you that Israel Adesanya has never been this much of a favorite. Sean Strickland has never been this much of a dog, and he's been in there with Pereira. He's been in there with Cannonier. He's been in there with Kamaru Usman. Nobody ever counted him out like this. Is this good money at DraftKings, or is this the kind of chalk that you want to take? I mean, I'm just bringing this to you. This has never happened for either one of these athletes. They're going to go to Australia. Izzy called for the fight. Sean accepted it. Sean been planning to fight Izzy from the beginning. Sean thought he was going to go out and beat up Alex Pereira and draw right into Izzy. That's what they were setting up. So this isn't like something that caught him off guard, but at the end of the day, regardless of how you got here, you still got two styles. You have a guy that goes out and is really good at kickboxing versus a trained champion kickboxer. Like, I understand there's going to have to be some adjustments made by Strickland. But are you really that convinced that he doesn't have that in the toolbox all these years and all this time and all those experiences? Think all he's got's a left and a right and a kick every now and again? I don't know. I don't know that you really believe that. Whether you do or you don't, DraftKings putting out some pretty good numbers.